We already know that not behind every great bass line is a bass player. Thanks to your suggestions and contributions, today we're going to take a look at some more iconic bass lines that were not recorded by Who You Think. Genius of Love by Tom Tom Club is a massive 1981 hit that has been sampled over 180 times. Although bass player Tina Weymouth was responsible for writing the iconic bass line and intended to play it on the record, she was forced to pass on the latter task. The band was given extremely limited studio time, just 3 days, and when it was time to record the song, Tina's whole right arm seized up in a terrible cramp and she couldn't play. Being forced to work around the clock, she ended up waking up the assistant engineer, Kendall Stubbs, who was asleep under the console. Kendall happened to be a bass player, so Tina showed him the part, and that's what ended up on the record. On Van Halen 3, the band made minimal use of bass player Michael Anthony. Anthony only played on Without You, One I Want and Fire in the Hole. Eddie Van Halen recorded bass for the rest of the album tracks. Eddie was not only a guitar genius but also a self-admitted control freak. Michael confirmed that Eddie dictated to him how to play bass on the record and ended up handling most of the tracks himself. Anthony also said that by the time of making Van Halen 3, Eddie was playing the bass more as well as drums, so he might be drumming on the album, but there's no record of that. On a side note, Eddie played bass on I Never Said Goodbye, the 9th studio album by then Van Halen singer Sammy Hagar. Queen drummer Roger Taylor played bass on a few songs for the legendary English band. Taylor recorded bass and rhythm guitar on Sheer Heart Attack and Fight from the Inside from the News of the World album. Both tracks were written and sung by Taylor. On Fight from the Inside, the distorted bass is really loud and is practically the main instrument on the track, with a catchy riff on the chorus. Fight from the inside, attack from the rear. Taylor played bass also on More of That Jazz out of the Jazz album and possibly Fun It, but it's not confirmed. Though Bill Wyman is credited for playing bass on every Rolling Stones record until quitting the band in 1993, it was later revealed that a bunch of tracks were recorded by guitarist Keith Richards, including Live With Me, Let It Bleed, Silver Train, Casino Boogie, and Soul Survivor. Also, major hits like Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sympathy for the Devil, Street Fighting Man feature Richards on bass. The early recording sessions of the Rolling Stones were notoriously chaotic, and not even the band members were sure of who played what on which songs. Also, Ron Wood, Mick Taylor, and even Mick Jagger played bass on some Rolling Stones tracks. Both in this and Roger Taylor's case, it had more to do with the way these albums were recorded than someone being unable to play. It's not the case of Leprosy, the second studio album by metal band Death. Bass player Terry Butler didn't play a note on the album. During the recordings, the pressure to perform was so big for Butler that he was completely blocked. He only had about 4 hours to record his parts, and all the rest of the band was looking at his fingers. It just didn't work. Singer and guitarist Chuck Schuldiner did all the bass parts on Leprosy, mainly to gain some time. Jimi Hendrix was also famously fond of the bass guitar and recorded on a good number of songs on his third record, Electric Ladyland. With bass player Noel Redding busy with his new band, Fat Mattress, Hendrix took it upon himself to record many of the album's bass parts. Songs like Have You Ever Been to Electric Ladyland, Long Hot Summer Night, Gypsy Eyes, or All Along the Watchtower all showcase Jimmy's fluid bass technique. All those inside. Everybody's on fire, but Run Through the Light by Yes features a cool fretless bass line, which was surprisingly recorded by then singer Trevor Horn, while bass player Chris Squire played piano. It's the only Yes track where Squire was not the bass player until his death. Despite of the album credits, most of the bass guitar on the Smashing Pumpkins' second album, Siamese Dream, was recorded by lead singer Billy Corgan. Obsessed with musical perfection, Corgan often overdubbed bass player Redsky's parts with his own playing. Redsky stated that Corgan only performed most of the guitar and bass parts because he could lay them down more easily in recording and with far fewer takes despite their simplicity. On the first Queens of the Stone Age album, the bass lines were all written and recorded by singer Josh Homme, credited under the pseudonym Carlo for bass guitar, keyboard and piano. Nicky Sixx of Motley Crue got recently engaged in a series of accusations of not having recorded bass on the Motley Crue records. Whether this is true or not, it is certain he did not perform on one of their biggest hits, Kickstart My Heart, where the bass is replaced by a synth track. Painkiller by Judas Priest suffered the same fate. Again, this appears to have more to do with the recording trend that was going on at the time, as many rock records of the late 80s used keys to replace bass for better pitch and crispier tone. The last band we're including in this video is Slayer. It is days-old news that according to guitarist Kerry King, bass player Tom Araya did not perform on any Slayer record since the early 90s. King claims he had to take on bass duties from that point. It doesn't make any difference. Slayer has no relevant bass lines and the bass guitar is always kept real low in the mix. Araya is a great singer, but he's not exactly renowned for his bass abilities. And if you listen to their early isolated bass tracks where it's Tom on bass, you can tell that was probably a smart decision. I hope you liked this video. In case you missed it, here's the link to part 1. Thank you for watching.